Ready to rock? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of On the House. Today I have Ryan Bartlett, the CEO of True Classic. Thanks for making time. I know you're a very busy man here this week with everything that's going on for International Fight Week. How's everything going?
Everything's going good, man. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
A lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. No, I was doing some research on everything and getting to kind of know your background more. I didn't realize that you had started this with $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that. That's crazy.
I mean, listen, I started with a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that comes first. You have to really know what you're doing. You have to be able to execute on everything. But I also did my research on the market before entering the t-shirt arena. This was not like, let me just try something and see what happens. This was something where I saw a really obvious white space where nobody else was really seeing or looking.
Yeah.
And I see this in a lot of different arenas, but ultimately it was a thing where I got really excited the more that I looked into it. And so I was looking at the competition, I was looking at what they were doing, how they were showing up for the customer, and it was just average on everything across the board. And so I just got more and more excited about it as I kind of dug into that business. And even though I knew nothing about apparel, it didn't matter. I knew that if I just did better than all of them as far as, you know, relating to the customer, showing up for them, building a quality product, getting the price right, doing the marketing right, that eventually it would break through.
That's awesome.
And that's what happened. So the 3,000 was essentially about 1,000 of it went towards developing the shirt in itself, which is what you call the tech pack.
Yep.
So you have to go back and forth with the manufacturer. You have to, and I brought on a co-founder that was in the apparel business. So I did have that going for me. And so I chopped a bunch of equity with him, which was the most expensive conversation of my entire life in hindsight. But he brought it to life. And he brought the 60/40 True Classic crew, which we've sold 25 million of these things to date now.
Wow.
It's been unbelievable. But that is still our best seller. And it's been a wild ride. The other 2,000 went into the paid media, which was the Facebook ads. So before starting, I was already a practitioner of Facebook ads. I knew how to scale them. I knew how to run them. I knew how to build ads. I knew how to convert people on a website. So I was doing the job of like 8 to 10 people, and each of the co-founders was doing the job of about 8 to 10 people to get this thing off the ground. And we did that for like a year and a half before we even hired anybody, which I wouldn't recommend, honestly.
Yeah.
I would recommend hiring sooner than later, but we just were hell-bent on staying profitable.
Yeah.
And when you hire a bunch of people, you gain a lot of overhead,
And it
and it gets tough.
Yeah.
Right. So
Why the t-shirt in the clothing industry? What was the hole that you saw there?
you know what it was, honestly, when I look back at what truly drove it, is I'm very good at listening to my intuition and just kind of looking around the world at what I'm currently struggling with. And the t-shirt thing was just something I kept rubbing up against kind of my whole life. Even though I wasn't in apparel, it was a problem that I wanted to solve. Like I would go into my closet and I would just kind of feel a little underwhelmed by the clothes I was putting on, like the fit, the feel, all of it, the price. There was only one shirt that I really loved. It was by a brand called Caraloha, but they were bamboo shirts and they were really expensive and you could only get them in certain spots. And so I just kept thinking, like, why is this brand the only one doing it right in this sea of, you know, unintentionality as it relates to clothing? Why is just one company doing it? I bet you if I can replicate a version of what they're doing but charge less, I bet you it would crush. That was kind of the thought. And so, you know, I just went on the journey and started learning about it. And like I said, I got super excited the more I dug into it. And now I didn't do bamboo. I did 60/40 cotton poly because bamboo is very expensive to manufacture, I figured out. And it didn't hold up as well either. The poly cotton combo really helped the shirt retain its shape, its feel, its softness. It basically gave you everything, but you could make it for less money on the cogs. And it was a hit right off the bat.
Wow. So given your previous experience and your previous work at that time with you seeing a need in this market, I mean, because I even like Facebook ads, it's not easy to do. So you obviously had to be very good at that.
Yes.
I mean, people make it seem it's easy, but it's not. I know it's a very complicated thing, the way Facebook ad and social media ad works these days. And you seem like you have a high conversion rate, obviously, in those early days.
It wasn't just about the Facebook ads, though. Really, the way you need to look at Facebook ads is that they are just a mirror to the market and what the market truly wants. So you don't have to be amazing at Facebook ads, but you do have to be amazing at knowing what the market wants, right? Like that's the transition that I try to get people to make, because they'll have me look at their Facebook ad library and I'll look at the content and it really won't be there. But ultimately what I go back to is like, well, how good is the product? Because it doesn't matter how good your content's gonna be if the product is not great. It has to start with greatness. And if you can get people to buy the product at least once and they love it, then you're in business because they're gonna repeat buy. And the repeat buy is where the profitability comes in. So without that, you're just in burning acquisition mode 24/7 and you'll never truly scale a big company. The repeat has to be there. And that's what speaks to the quality, the relationship with the customer, how you treat them, how you show up for them. That's the whole game, dude. We are basically break-even company if we don't get anyone to come back and buy again, right? So the repeat business is the whole thing.
Especially with direct to consumer, right? Like you really have to get that repeat
Yes.
sale over and over.
And it wasn't until probably the third or fourth week that I realized we were onto something, because we would burn through cash for the first couple weeks. And yes, it was driving sales, but it wasn't until I started seeing that repeat kick in that it started building. And I was like, okay, now we're really onto something. Because that's what I was waiting for. I was like, if they get the first order and then they buy again, I know we're going to scale this thing to the moon.
So there's kind of like a wait and see period, right? Because you develop the product, you get it out there,
Yeah.
you get those first sales. It's probably going to take them wearing it a couple times to go, wow, like I really like this 60/40 blend. Let me get back on the site. Let me order a couple more, get a couple different colors, or let me get some for my friend or whoever.
Yeah.
That's when it really starts.
That's when it starts to build. And that's when you know you're really onto something. So you have to really go so deep on the consumer data. Like I was not they call it WGSN trends, which is like the fashion industry and what they trend is gonna be forecasting, but that's all bullshit to me. What I care about are the human trends and what they care about. So I didn't know anything about that stuff. All I knew was Amazon. I'm like, let me go to Amazon. Let me look up 60/40 t-shirts and see if people are buying these things. And sure enough, the data was unbelievable. And for anyone that's ever done drop shipping or any kind of e-commerce, Amazon is a wealth of knowledge. It's all there, and nothing is better than sales, right?
All the stats are there.
Every
everything.
product on everything is living there for the taking. So all you have to do is look on Amazon. If you have an idea for a product, go to Amazon and research it, and just type in whatever the keywords are and look at how big the volume of reviews are for that product. If the product has 10,000 reviews, you're on to something. And then you can look at that product and go, okay, I can make it cheaper, I can make it better, I can enhance it. And if you do that, then you'll corner the market and you'll crush everybody. Wow. And that's essentially what we did.
That's brilliant. I never thought of it like that. I mean, that's really awesome.
It's a very scrappy way to look at it. Like anyone in the apparel industry would think I'm insane. And listen, I have really high level apparel guys at the company now, and they still look at me like I'm insane when I go, well, hey, I know you want to do this product. Have you looked at Amazon? And they're like, no, I looked at Lulu or Abercrombie or whoever. Like that's how they think. They just go, oh, the big guys do this, so we should do this. And I'm like, no. That's not how I want to think about it. If it's not validated on Amazon, I don't even want to do it. I don't care what Lulu's doing. What is their sell-through percentage? Do you know that? If you don't know that, then what are we talking about ultimately? Yeah. So I always go back to like this scrappy entrepreneurial mindset, because it ultimately gets you to the truth. That's what you're after.
And Amazon's universal too. I mean, like that's where you're going to get the bulk of the population's opinion, right? Everyone uses Amazon. I mean, my nephew uses Amazon. He's 4. I mean, everyone's using it at this point in time. And that makes a lot of sense what you're saying too about the fashion stuff too, because like a good t-shirt is like timeless in my eyes. It's not going to go through a fashion trend. Everyone wants a good t-shirt to wear. Like you're going to wear a blank tee once or twice a week. And I don't care who you are. That's like a given. So that makes sense that yours is kind of standing the test of time. It doesn't matter what the fashion trends are. Everyone's going to buy a few of those.
And I wasn't a fashion trend guy.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have made sense anyway. And I didn't know anything about fashion, but I knew about plain t-shirts because I wore them every day and I loved them.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of do something you know and love, but you don't necessarily have to know anything about the industry, which is really good news for everybody that's trying to start something. You just got to go to Amazon, do your research, validate your research, and then comb through those reviews, because those reviews are where the gold is.
Yeah.
The gold nuggets live in the voice of the consumer. And the sooner you identify that, the sooner you're on your path to something great.
I feel like you just really simplified it and stopped overthinking it. Just keep it real. What does the consumer want to buy? What do they need? And then fulfill that.
Yeah.
So it started off with the shirt, right? When did it start to expand into different other?
I mean, immediately we were like, okay, we did like 26 grand the first month. So we were like, we're on
Bingo.
to something.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be great. Little did I know the trajectory we were truly on at the time. But the next obvious step was, okay, let's do more colors of the crew. And then it was, let's do a V-neck, let's do a pocket tee, let's do a long sleeve, like every version of a crew.
Just elaborate on the first shirt.
Yes, exactly. And in hindsight, I should have actually gone even deeper on it because like we do the curved hem now, which seems so obvious now, but it overnight has become 10% of sales, which at, 200 to 300 million a year, that's 20, 30 million, like in one product.
Just on the curve.
Just on the curved.
Wow.
So we should have done that. I mean, I feel ridiculous for not doing it sooner. But if I were eating my own dog food, I would have really, leaned in on what was working. So that's what I always tell people now, because everyone wants to always go so broad, so quick. And I'm like, slow down, go super narrow, and dig into what's working and stop thinking that all the money is in the assortment. It's really on going narrow into the one product that's already working. So in hindsight, I should have done the Pima cotton a lot earlier on the crew neck t-shirt. I should have done the hem a lot earlier. Dude, I probably left 50, 60 million on the table not doing it in year 2 instead of year 5.
Wow.
That's how much money I left on the table. But, I had to learn things the hard way, and I don't know it all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not an apparel guy, so I'm kind of learning as I go. But it started with the crew. Eventually, it went into polos. That was like the next really big seller for us.
Yeah.
And then it went into activewear, which, I'm wearing everything activewear now.
Looks great.
Which was a big hit. And then we went into formal wear. And now denim is a huge category for us, which was another white space, in my opinion, where I would go into Nordstrom's and I would look around at all these jeans that were like $200. And I'm like, how do they get away with charging people this? This is outrageous. I know what these things cost now, and they were just completely gouging the customer. And I was right, because at the time, I remember thinking to myself, like, who's paying this kind of money?
Yeah.
I mean, the Nordstrom's customer is a little bit more of an elevated customer. They do spend more. So it made sense for that environment. But I just remember thinking, like, why do the masses not have access to a $200 jean at like a $60 price point? Why is that?
Yeah.
Why has no one challenged that? And so that's what I did. I used to go into Nordstrom's and I would pick out my favorite jeans. I would start picking apart what I liked and didn't like. And then I took the best of all worlds, made a soft, stretchy, but not overly stretchy where they're like jeggings, but like enough structure to where it's still denim, but at like a $60 price point. So now you can get, AG, Page, Rag & Bone level quality for like $60. And of course it was a hit because the market was missing that.
What was the time frame between the initial launch and going into jeans and polo? How long did you wait?
I think we waited for, denim was really hard. So we waited a good while on that one. I think we did that around year 2.5. Okay. Right after we had hit the 100 million, we had some really good talent come in on the production side of it that had relationships with some of the big denim manufacturers. So we just went direct to them. And we're like, hey, we want to do the same thing. We want to change it a little bit here. We want to make the fit even better. And so how can we get there? And we did a great deal with them, and they're still our vendor to this day. And we've scaled to unbelievable heights with them.
Diego brought me a pair of a gray denim jean that I really love from you guys when he went to your store the other day.
Those are my favorite, by the way.
And I love them. And I was just thinking, like, man, it's going back to your point. I'd go to Nordstrom's, I'd spend $200 on a pair, but then I also got to probably spend another $100, kind of like adjust. You know what I mean? Like taking them to get altered.
Tailoring,
because it's stuff that's like crazy. You can go spend $60 at True Classic and get a really good pair. Because he actually brought me some clothes back from when he went to the store the other day, and I was like, oh man, thanks. And I was like, man, these jeans are great. My wife's like, what are those? I'm like, oh, it's True Classic. He's like, oh wow, those fit you really nice. And I was like, yeah, no alterations.
I know, and that was the point. That was the point. And I went through the same pain you did. Yeah. I'm like, why do I have to sit here and get measured after I put jeans on? Like, this is a ridiculous waste of time. And then, by the way, you have to come back again and pick them up. Yeah. It's like, could this be a worse experience? So, Yeah,
for an impatient guy like me, it's like I don't really
No.
feel like doing it, so I'm probably not buying much jeans because I'm like, man, I'm over this. But
That's
now,
everybody.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I never really thought of it like that too. Is like you just going and seeing the constant, the white space. I'm gonna have to steal that from you. I
in
like
every spot too.
Yeah.
And so Polo's white space, activewear white space, like all of them have dramatic white spaces that no one was really capitalizing on. But that can be done with literally any business.
Yeah.
I mean, you found a white space in managing talent.
Yeah.
Right? You were able to scale to all these fighters. It didn't just come out of thin air.
Yeah.
It came because you show up for fighters, you do right by them, you get them deals, you do things better than most. And when you do things better than most, you create a lot of value and you get a lot of success out of it.
I'm always really impressed with you because I feel like I entered a market space when there was a great market share to get, right? The sport was just starting out. I got in and I was able to get a market share pretty quickly. It's crazy because it's not like jeans and shirts just got, you know what I mean? Like this is something that's been around for years, and it's like you just saw the obvious that maybe people were just overlooking, you know, and that's why I think it's so crazy. Whenever I talk to Jacob about it, I'm like, dude, he really just was in a very crowded industry. It's not like there's a lack of clothing companies around right now.
There is a lack of unintentionality though. That's the part that's missing. Because you're right. In essence, there is no difference between us and a lot of other brands. But where we show up for people is on price.
Yes.
It's on comfort. It's on some of our philanthropic initiatives.
The details, the little details that you guys are very,
That's it though. That's really kind of the punchline, is that it doesn't matter what space you're in or what you sell. You could be selling services, you could be selling products. If you're just more intentional than the rest of the market, you will own the market sooner than later, because it's not lost on people when you're truly showing up for them. I think people underestimate humans and what intentionality actually means to them.
Yeah.
But when you dig into that and you go deep on something and they go, oh, wow, why would I spend my money with this corporation when this guy's over here doing it better for less price and showing up for me? It's a no-brainer for the customer.
Yeah. And so, and talk to me about that, because I really admire the culture you have at your company. I know you guys do a ton of philanthropy work for the community, and it's really, you can see the authenticity in what you're doing. And I know there's a lot people don't even know about because you're just doing it just to do it because it's the right thing to do. Like, when does that enter? Because I feel like, yes, you formed a good product, you get it out to the consumer, you're making it. Like, when does, I guess, the identity of the brand start to be formed? At what point do you think that's because you kind of, do you start off day one with the initial drop, or no, is it kind of as you guys get going, like, hey guys, this is what we're about. You like our products, but now this is what we're about. This is what our call to actions are.
So in the beginning, you just have no choice but to do the hard stuff, because it's real work when you're starting out. And it's just blood, sweat, and tears every day. Stress, management, bleeding, cash. I mean, it's just all very, very difficult in the beginning. So I didn't have a lot of time to do the fun stuff. But the whole reason I started True Classic was to make an impact. It was to make an impact on the customers. It was to make an impact on the communities. It was just to make an impact for people in general. Once I got this thing to a certain level, I just knew that I could wield the resources the right way and better than most. Even when I'm out here in Vegas, for instance, I am tipping like I'm Papa Giorgio from, Chevy Chase Vegas movie. I'm literally, like, when I land at the airport, it probably costs me like $900 just to get to my room, because the guy that holds open the door to the car gets $100. The taxi driver gets $100. The valet guy gets $100. The bag guy gets $100. Everyone gets $100, because to me, I'm just trying to find ways to make impact on small levels with people. And that is why I started True Classic. But I was also, listen, I grew up in the service industry, so I respect it so much. And I know what it's like to get a $100 tip. And I know what that made me feel when I got it. I never forgot that guy that gave me a $100 tip. I remember the way he looked at me. I remember what he was wearing. I remember what time it was in the day. I remember, it just stuck with me the rest of my life. So now I'm like, okay, I can make an impact on clothing. I can create value for people, but then I can make these little micro impacts as I go about my day. And that becomes the most fun of my job.
It's crazy you say this, because my second year in law school, I was working at Outback Steakhouse, New Year's Eve. I'm all bummed. I can tell you the exact guy that gave me a $100 tip on New Year's Eve. And I was like, man, all my friends are out doing stuff. Here I am serving tables to pay for tuition. And it changed the whole night, right? The rest of the night, you're in a better mood. He probably affected change on 4 or 5 more tables after that, because I'm coming in, wow, that guy gave me $100. Like, that's 2008. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot
It's
of
a
money
big
today, but it's
deal.
even a lot more money then. You're like, wow, like that's huge. So it's really awesome that you do that and you made that right now. Because I'm like in my head, like, man, I can relate to that. I was there too. Like
100%. And when you know what it feels like,
Yeah.
you end up wanting to be that guy later in life.
oh, 100%.
It's so much.
Now I always want to be a good tipper. I want to be like, man, because I know what it did
It's
for
the
my
best.
day. You're like, man,
Yeah.
I want to give back and make sure, I'm paying it forward.
And then when you go back there and they recognize you, it's such an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
They light up. They see you.
Yeah.
They're so thankful. They can't wait to tell you. Like a lot of times I give away, these True Classic poker chips to people, and they have like $100 printed on them. And when I see them again, they're wearing True Classic,
Yeah.
and they have a story. And oh my God, I saw those ads, but I didn't realize it was you. And oh my, thank you so much. And it's just become this magical thing that, I give these everywhere I go now to people. And even yesterday, I was at a poker table with a guy, and we start talking. And I knew him, but he didn't remember me.
Yeah.
And so we start talking or whatever, and I say True Classic, and he's like, oh my God, you're the guy. You gave me a poker chip like 2 years ago. And then it all came back, and he was so excited, and we ended up talking for, forever. And such a great guy, such a great moment. But it's so nice revisiting those when you see them again. You see what an impact you made on them, but you usually don't get to see it come full circle when you make an impact. Usually you give something, you never see them again, but it's a pretty amazing feeling.
No, you're driving that energy bus and you're bringing it good, right? I mean, no one wants to be around an energy vampire,
Right.
kind of like being negative or critiquing them too hard. Here you are, just giving people a reason to be happy. You know what I mean? And
Even at the
to give
poker
them-
tables,
Yeah.
by the way, now I'm that guy that is just the whale giving away cash. Like I show up and it's such a gift for the table because I'm just going to spew money. Like, because I don't care anymore. I'm not really, listen, I like to win. I like to compete, right?
Yeah.
But I do that in business. I don't need to compete at the poker table. Trust me, I don't like to lose either. But like, I'm okay just dumping cash on the table because I know how much it means to those guys because they're playing for a living, a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
Like when I play at the 5-10 tables, those are grinders and they dream about those moments. Because I remember when I was a grinder, when a whale would come in and sit at our table and just spew cash, it was such a gift. And we would all just sit there and rake it in and be loving life and high-fiving. But those moments are few and far between.
Yeah, they are.
Those guys don't just sit down all the time. So I love being that guy now. So when I come down, at first they hate me because I'm playing really reckless. But then they start to catch on after a few hands that I'm just out here to give.
Yeah.
And it all sets in and they end up loving me for it. So by the time I leave, I'm just like high-fiving everyone and I'm just, it's so much fun, dude.
Let me know what tables you're at tonight. So starting off DTC, right? Direct to consumer, and then kind of going out into Target and Costco and all these places. What was that transition like? What brought upon that transition? Like, talk me through that because it's very hard to do that, right? It's very hard to have success in direct to consumer, and then also very hard to have success in brick and mortar these days, right? Like,
yeah, I would say brick and mortar is very difficult. I've learned, again, knew nothing about how to do it, right?
Yeah,
And we're still
that's
learning.
why I'm curious because like this is all new. This is your first rodeo in the space.
It's tough, man. The retail is really tough to scale, as you would imagine, because you're really bound by the availability of leases. So like Fashion Square Mall, we got that store in there.
Beautiful store, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like that was really tough to get because things just don't open up. Retail is doing really well by and large, which means that no one's getting out of their leases. And if they're getting out of their leases, it's because their product sucks, not because they're in the wrong mall. So we got that spot. I wish I would have got a little bit bigger spot in hindsight because we have some other stores that are like 2,000 square feet, like really nice stores. But listen, I'll take what I can get. But listen, it's a labor of love and they're not super profitable until you get to like 100 stores plus. We're at like 12. But I would say that the real opportunity for us on the distribution side is Target and Costco. Those have been unbelievable relationships that we've cultivated. And lucky for us, we were already a big brand to where they wanted us.
Wow.
We didn't have to
You
go
had to go pitch
searching.
them.
No. I mean, listen, you do have to pitch, but I mean, the door was wide open for us versus other brands have to really fight for positioning in those environments. So that goes back to us just doing amazing things on digital and it being that much easier to get into retail in those environments. So I would say that like for people that are trying to get in, you got to do something great. You got to build a big business. You got to make a big impact. And you have to captivate those people that are in those buying departments, those merchandisers. And they have to love you. we would show them content, we would show them clothing, we would show up to their offices. Like, we did a lot to win them over.
Yeah.
And they love us for it. And so, Target has been amazing. Costco has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Costco in itself is going to double the business. Yeah. It's that big. It's that big of an opportunity. Because
if you don't mind, so like how many Costco's are?
So we're doing road shows, same
Okay.
as Hexaclad,
Okay.
who they've been doing it for
love them.
7 years.
Love
Yeah,
Hexaclad,
good buddies
yeah.
of mine.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for 7 years. So, road shows are essential. Okay, so there's road shows and there's inline. Inline is like permanent, sit
Yes.
on the table with everybody else.
Yes.
I hate that because you don't have any control over your marketing. You're just up there with everybody else.
You're just on a blank table.
I hate
Yeah.
that. It's like a garage sale.
Yeah.
So the road shows, now listen, the road shows are a lot more work. So that's the trade-off. Yes, you can just dump some product into Costco and put it on a table and you're done. Or you can go the road show route where you have to staff it. It's basically like a pop-up inside the retail environment.
It's great looking at it. Yes.
But you have to, show up, get all the inventory there off a pallet. You have to somehow set up your stand. You have to break it down. It's only 10 days. So you're in and out, and you just keep doing that process across every city in the U.S.
Wow.
Or not every city, but every bigger Costco.
Market, yeah.
Yes. So, Costco has thousands of stores. So we did 10 Costcos in April, and then we did like 50 in May, and now we did like over 100 in June. So we're scaling
Wow. At a rapid rate.
insane, and it's such true classic style because, like when I talked to Hexaclad, I asked them like, how quickly did you scale? And they're like, it took us like years to get to where you guys are in a couple months, and it's because it's so much work, it's so much pain because people don't show up. Inventory gets there late.
Yeah.
The store managers are upset at you.
A lot of
Now
moving parts.
multiply that by 100.
That's a lot.
And it's very stressful because here we have this amazing opportunity to double the business, and everything's hinging on things showing up correctly, people showing up on time. And so there's a lot of staffing agencies involved. Like, a lot of times people just don't even show up to like man the booth. And we're just sitting there like, well, what now?
Yeah.
And you have to have people checking on the stores. It's very difficult, and it's really become a full-time job of mine and Ben to navigate this thing. But the opportunity is just so large that we can't not do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to put yourself in a position to win, and we have big goals this year. So we're just, trying to force it to make it work on the scale side. Because listen, if we just would have done 50 shows, it would have been very manageable.
Yeah.
But getting to 100 or 150 a month,
Yeah.
it's really tough. But listen, everything is tough
Yeah.
in business. So to us, it's just like another thing. So, but it's been fun and been very fruitful.
I was reading somewhere, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it was like year 3 to 5, the growth was just like insane. Or was it 3 to 5, I think, or
I would say the largest growth as a percentage was from year 1 to 2.
1 to 2. Okay.
So
I-
15
I was reading like it was going up. Yes, it was 15
to 90.
To 90, yes. And so you're having these markers of growth. I mean, it's insane, right? You guys are doing this. Like, how do you keep evolving? How do you keep growing? Like, just hearing you talking about going like 100 stores to 150, like it's almost like you're increasing you're pushing yourself almost to the brink every time. Like,
Yeah.
you have to self-impose that on you guys a
Yeah.
little bit, I guess.
And listen, I sympathize for my employees because it's very stressful.
Yeah.
But listen, they know what they signed up for with True Classic. You don't come into True Classic thinking you're chilling. You're thinking, this is a startup environment. I need to act like an entrepreneur and be scrappy and figure things out. Even if it's not my job, I'm going to sit there and figure it out because that's what you do when you're an entrepreneur. You just wear every single hat
Yes.
and you try to manage it as best you can. You don't beat yourself up over all the problems that are bound to happen. So that's the culture we've built, though. So it's not the most comfortable environment, I'll tell you that. But it is so incredibly rewarding on the other side because in a few years, those people are going to be able to say, we scaled Costco faster than anybody. And it's going to be a huge resume lifter when they go after their next job. They're going to get that huge salary bump because they said they worked at True Classic. And people know what that means in the market
Yeah.
when you say that to another business. They're going to go, wow,
You're
you
part of
worked with a company
winning
on
team.
steroids.
Yeah.
I know you can handle this job. So,
Especially anyone looking to scale like you're doing, they can say, hey, they've ran this rodeo once, they've done it successfully, they did it at a rapid rate, constantly pushing the envelope, constantly pushing themselves. That's impressive.
it's really tough. And listen, if you want to chill, go work at J. Crew. If you want to hide in a big organization,
Yeah.
go work at Fabletics or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just not that company. And if you're not creating real impact, it just doesn't work at our company because every person has to pull a lot of weight. And so it's a difficult, but we also do a lot of work in the interview process to essentially try to scare them away and say, listen, just so you know, this is going to be incredibly hard. Like, you've never worked anywhere like this. Trust me. And so that we do that for a reason, though, because we only want A players. It's like, you can only get to where you're at this scale by having dream team level talent.
Yeah.
And none of the dream team level talent want to deal with B players.
Yeah.
The B players hate the A players, and the A players hate the B players.
Yep.
And they want, and listen, the people in this company are really the ones that fire people. And the way they fire them is going, hey, Johnny over here is not pulling his weight. I'm doing his job. He's chilling. I don't know where he was Wednesday, but he was just gone. He didn't do anything.
They're holding each other accountable.
Because it's more work for them, right? And they don't want that. They know how valuable it is to have an A player on their team and what that looks like workload-wise. It makes their job easier.
Yeah.
And they all just self-police. And then they come to us, and then we have to be the bad guys ultimately. But it's not after like a lot of conversations, a lot of feedback, a lot of, hey, we're noticing like people are saying this, and that.
Yeah.
How can we correct? How can we get better? But usually, if the writing's on the wall, it usually doesn't get a lot better. It's like, oh, you're just not the right DNA for this particular role.
Yep.
So
it's funny you say that. When I was in high school, I was talking to a few schools. I played college baseball, and the school I ended up going to, the coach was like, hey, like everyone wants to tell you, like, selling you this grandioso story of how it's going to be in college. And he's like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of adversity, but I promise I'll be there every step of the way with you to turn it into a character building opportunity. Like, he sold like the worst case, but kind of what you're saying, like, you didn't come in here and like, it's like, hey man, this is gonna be tough, but we're going to win and we're going to do all these things. And I always look back on that now, and I always tell the same for my guys here, like, hey, I'm not going to sit here and sell you it's all going to be sunshine and roses. It's not. It's going to be freaking tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of adversity. We're probably going to get kicked down a few times, but that's life, but people don't want to hear that these days, right? Like, people want to hear the end of the story. They don't want to hear the first 5 or 6 chapters, which were in the mud.
And actually, that's why I love, like Ben, he comes from the military, and a lot of the guys we hire are military or not fighters, but athletes.
Yes.
And those are my favorite guys because they really know what it looks like to be a team player, to work really hard. You can't have gone through sports at any kind of real level without living through adversity.
Exactly.
And the people that I see that traditionally don't do that well have never experienced that kind of environment. But the athletes are like, well, this is just another game for me.
Yeah.
I'm used to this. I did this in college, right? Or in the military, that was way harder than business.
Yep.
Like, this is easy work compared. This is really light work compared to what I had to deal with.
Very
in the
low
academy.
pressure.
So those are the guys we like. When we interview a guy like that, we're like, oh, he's one of us. He's gonna make it. We know he's gonna make it because they're gonna figure out a way, and they're not gonna be beat down by the little pressure of business that seems big in the moment, but in the big scheme of things, it's just some Slack messages and some emails. Like, it's not gonna kill you. You're not having bullets whizzing by your head. You're not bleeding on a mat out here with someone trying to bash your head in. Like, give me a break, dude. You're sitting in your air-conditioned apartment, with food and lights and all the amenities. You think this is hard?
Yeah.
Let's go to a third world country and walk around and see what hard looks like.
That perspective is so key. Some people in business get caught up in, like, guys, in the grand scheme of things, we should be lucky to be faced with this issue. Like, you're looking at it all backwards.
Yeah. That's what I'm worried about with my kids too, is like, they have such a amazing environment.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I instill this grit into these pampered kids? Because they're living the life. They don't know what adversity, and they probably won't know really until they get out in the market and get fired for the first time what it looks like to face adversity. So it's a struggle, man.
No, I can relate to that. With I've spent a lot of time with my nephew, and we're getting him into wrestling. He's only 4, but I want him to kind of experience this now. You know what I mean? Like, let's not forego what's going to happen when he turns 18. He hits the real world. Like, oh wow, this place is really rough and tough. No reason to give him this sheltered. Like, hey, like, start getting in sports, start dealing with adversity, expose him a little bit to the virus, a little bit more, and let him kind of build up the antibodies for it to how life's really going to be. Because you don't want to put a kid out there that's not ready to be out there.
No, you're right. And I think what you're doing is the right thing. I mean, I'm now getting my kids into jiu-jitsu.
Perfect.
Because the more I talk to you guys, the more, the second you ask me about my kids, you're like, well, my kids are in it. Are your kids in it? And I'm like, well, maybe they should be in it. And then you guys tell me, you give me feedback about it. And you're right. Ultimately, it's helped my kids learn discipline. It's helped them learn that losing is normal.
Yep.
Like every day they go in as white belts and lose, because they're always facing a better opponent.
Yeah.
And so, but it's so healthy for them long term. So I really love this sport that you guys are in. I think it builds a lot of character, and it's one step forward towards, making progress with your kids and getting them in a situation where they're like, well, at least someone's not choking me out.
Yes.
Like I'm working at a job and it sucks, but at least I'm not almost dying.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And talk about that transition into the UFC space, the MMA space. I know you guys are official sponsor of the UFC. Obviously, we're very stoked about that to be partnering with you guys. But what brought that on, or what was kind of,
Man, I'm such a fan. That's number one.
Yeah.
I've been watching since UFC 1. Since the very early days, I was really obsessed with it. And even now, like casting these legends in this commercial that we're shooting tomorrow.
Yeah, when you dropped those names, it was like like
dude.
Murder's Row. Like,
oh
wow,
dude, it's such a dream for me too that I get to like sit there
Yeah.
and pay these guys to like hang out with us and shoot this commercial. It's a dream come true. But UFC was a no-brainer for me for a couple reasons. Other than just being a fan and loving the sport, it's a global brand. And I really love working with global brands because it touches everything. And we're in 192 countries, so we really do need to advertise with people that are everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
And so it was really a no-brainer. They've also just been an amazing organization to work with. Boy, does Dana run a tight ship over there. And I have so much respect for what he's done internally because I know how difficult it is to build processes and get your people to essentially follow through on those SOPs and processing. And those guys are process machines. Yeah. Every single thing I send them has to go through layers and layers. And so I really respect what they've built. And the people he hires are just great people. Like they're taking me out to dinner tomorrow.
Wow.
They're constantly asking me, what can they do? They're showing up for the fights with me, and they're getting me into things that I can have experiences with and bring some of my staff on and create experiences for them. So it's just been a lot of fun to work with them. But other than that, I love the sport, and I love showing up for fighters. Yeah. I know how difficult it is of a life for them. I love doing deals with them and finding ways to show up for like the legends, like I said. But they also have a lot of other things under the umbrella with TKO. They have the bull riding. They have
WWE.
They have exactly WWE. Like everything they do is pretty global, and I love working with brands like that. Yeah. And they've been super fair to me. Like when a competitor comes in, they'll ask me like, "What do you think? Are these competitors like? Should we engage with them or not?" And I respect that so much because they don't have to do that. Yeah. At the end of the day, money is money, and they can just kind of be like, "Well, we're going to sign whoever we want," but the fact that they bring it to me,
they care about the relationship.
It really shows me who they are, and I really respect that. And vice versa. I've been approached by Jake Paul and all those guys on the boxing side to advertise in some of their events, and I'm talking to them. But I asked UFC, what do you think? And they're like, it's kind of like a gray area, but you do what you want. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to. I also don't want to upset them. I want to be respectful. They've been respectful to me. But they've been a great partner so far, and I'm super happy.
A good partnership for you guys, and I really respect their processes, and I feel like going back to my college coach, he was really process oriented. Good processes lead to good results. It was always ingrained in our heads, and I feel like it's how we built our agency, and I feel like we align with their processes, right? Like the paperwork and everything. It's like the little things that win the war, that you think about, and I'm always impressed by how detailed they are with everything, like the travel, the medical. I mean, they have everything just lock, stock, loaded. You're like, wow, like this is a well-oiled machine.
Dude, that's an understatement. And listen, I work with a lot of big companies like that, so I know what it's supposed to look like internally. Yeah, I know when it looks a little rough, and I know what it looks like when things are run tight. Yeah. And they run a very tight ship, and I know how hard it is to get to that point. It probably didn't start that way. But working with all the other big sports brands, it's amazing what they've done, and just continue to watch them expand into boxing and all these other sports has been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, like you guys did a great job with your logo and logo placement in the octagon. I feel like sometimes brands will advertise in the octagon and the logo just maybe like you know more about this to me, but color wise, schematic wise, it doesn't seem to pop or like grab attention. I feel like
Yeah.
your logo in this place it's very like you
Yeah.
see you instantly grab it, and it's like
Isn't
okay.
that weird how, and I think the same thing, but isn't that weird how no one in those companies sees that?
Yeah.
And I see that's like, it's a version of white space. It's like what you're seeing is what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
which is like, it's the obvious. It's like, why is no one telling them that you can't see the logo?
Yeah.
It's little things like that. And there's just, truthfully, what there is no one in that particular organization being the truth teller and saying, hold on, guys, I know it. I know we're just trying to get on the mat, but it needs to actually be legible. Like, it need people to actually see it. Does this make sense?
Yes.
And so no one's asking those questions or chiming in for whatever reason.
Yeah, I just feel like so many times when I'm watching the fights, the guys will like see like the True Classic right there, and it pops. You're like, man, that's a good logo. Like
Yeah.
that popped really well. It's a good eye length on the TV screen. I mean, it just seemed like it's well done. And I was just like, I was pumped for you. I was going to text you the other day. I was like, man, that logo will be looking good. Because sometimes you see company, we're obviously, I mean, if anyone's looking for logos, it's the agencies, right? We're trying to see who's in the space or who's making a debut into the octagon, and like, I don't know if I would have. That kind of blends in with them. I don't know if I would have chosen that color, but I mean, hey, to each their own. It's their money. They can do as they please.
And it's like, do you advertise on the mat versus the horizontal bar?
Yeah.
Or do you advertise commercials instead of horizontal bars? So you have to kind of play this game of like, I think ultimately they put the most value on the mat. And in my opinion, I was okay settling for the horizontal bar because I don't see it necessarily the same way they do on the value side. I think as long as it's there, either the horizontal mat or the bar or the mat, you're still there regardless.
I feel like with your logo, the horizontal bar was perfect.
Made
and
sense.
I think it made a ton of sense for you. Like I said, it pops to me,
Yeah.
And it sticks out. I think that's really good. I feel like the black with the white's very on that TV screen comes out good. Sometimes the mat's blue or gray, whatever you want to call it.
You know what stands out more though to me? I mean, the obvious stuff is like the mat placement and the horizontal bar. What stands out to me more, and what I'm always trying to push to UFC, is how do I show up for the fans? What are some really cool things we can do? And you've probably seen how we give away tickets at the UFC.
Yep.
That's me in the room going, guys, we got to figure out a way to do something fun for the fans because I want to show them that ultimately we overcare.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find ways to overcare. And that's how I do it. I basically forego my own tickets that I have contracted to me that are personal that I have paid for. I give them away to the fans.
So they can have a good
So
experience.
they can have a good experience, right? And, in the beginning when we were doing it, everyone's like, oh, this is fake. This is not real. It's 100% real. I can show you the receipts of what I paid for it's a lot of money, these tickets, right? And they're
cheap.
good tickets.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that is a version of intentionality when you're working with big brands. It's like, how do I show up for the fans? What can I do that's fun for them? And like this last one we did with this guy who just started crying essentially when he got the tickets because he was there all week for the weigh-ins and he couldn't afford the tickets. And then here comes UFC and True Classic. Like we just showed up and it was such a magical moment. And I remember sending it to the team and going, guys, this is why we do it. This is what it's all about. This is what intentionality looks like.
That's the juice right there.
Right? And that's what showing up for fans is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You find the hardcore fans. And I went to his page and literally every post was about the UFC. And I'm like, this guy is a super fan. No wonder it meant so much to him.
And I think too, just for the people that don't understand like the magnitude of that, it's not like the Lakers that play, say, 40 times a year in LA, and maybe he's a huge Lakers fan. Like when we come to a city, like say we went to Atlanta, Georgia earlier this month, that was the first time in I think 6 years we'd been there.
Yeah.
So this may be the last time for the next 6 years that person would have had the opportunity to watch the sport he loves live. So what you did for them is huge. It's not something like, like Dodgers, they're there 82 games a year, whatever it may be, like it's different for us. So what you doing that has a huge impact for those people that like, oh man, they're only coming to my country or my town, once every 5 or 6 years. It's very hard. That's like.
And that's what I would say to any brand that is doing these kind of deals is like the more you can show up for people, the better it will be for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's not lost on people when you're doing greatness for them.
And it feels good too, because I mean, it's a great product. It's at a great
Yes.
price point, but then you feel good like I'm working with a brand that aligns with my core
Yeah.
values. You know, I know sometimes these brands that get in the public for some, you know, negative things, and it's like, man, I really don't want to support that. I don't want to, you know, but you guys seem to be doing everything on the up and up to make sure the fans are having a great experience. And it's cool too, because it's not like I know for the diehard fans, they're not just thinking, oh, they're just trying to advertise in our sport because, like you said, it's a global brand. You're like, man, he really cares about the people within this sport. He's really taking care of them. He's helping the fighters out. He's helping these fans out. Like he's ingrained in, you know, he's interwoven in our sport, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And not every company's like that.
No, because they're not coming from the same place that I am.
Yeah.
It goes back to like the intentionality piece. I started it with the impact in mind first.
Yeah.
And when you start everything with that as your first grounding principle, then there's no reason the business isn't going to scale to the moon. It just isn't, because the impact can be tied to customer service, being like Ritz Level Carlton.
Yeah.
It can be tied to the quality of the product, the customer experience on the website, the site merchandising, the retail experience with the store associates, the way we show up in brand activations. So what I would always say to brands when they ask me, what can I do better? It's like, well, are you being impactful in every facet of the business? And if you're not, you have a lot of work to do. You might be doing a 4 out of 10. You need to get to a 10 out of 10 on every part. Now, that's very difficult to do, obviously, and it takes a lot of years and a lot of work, but it can absolutely be done. I think most people just focus on the money. And when you focus on the money, it doesn't get you to the impact component. Actually, ironically, the money comes from being super impactful. So everyone's got it backwards.
Yes.
If they just start with being super impactful, the money will come, right? Instead of me going, I just want to make $1 billion selling t-shirts, right? I was like, I just want to make a t-shirt that fits guys and they like it, right? Like it was very simple. And so you take that and you just keep applying it to different parts of the business until you are in a place where everything is running at a 10 and the business will do just unbelievable numbers.
Yeah, I really admire that about you guys, because I feel like you guys kind of started like in and out, right? We're going to focus on 2 or 3 things. We're going to be really good at these 2 or 3 things. But then you've been able to extend, like you said, like brick and mortar, direct to consumer, you know, philanthropy, getting into, you know, MMA and the UFC space. And you guys have been still keeping that same level of care and still quality and that energy there. And that's very hard to do as you expand, you know? And that's why, like you said, some companies, again, they just stick to the same 3 or 4 things. Like, heck, we're just going to be really, really good at these 3 or 4 things. But you've been able to expand and still keep that
the momentum.
Level. Yeah.
Yeah, the way you do it is just by having people buy into the vision. So if people aren't bought into the vision, it'll never get there. So it goes back to like hiring is one of the most underrated skills that I've noticed in business. It is the whole thing. It's like getting the right people to surround yourself with is an unbelievable, tough, long battle of a process to perfect. But once you get there, you're in the glory days because everyone around you is a dream team.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that get you to the next levels, because, you know, I could not do this without these unbelievably smart people around me that are, you know, much more intelligent than I am, that are able to do parts of this business that I could never dream of tapping into, because I just can't wrap my head around it.
I've noticed that about you when I was in the office that day. I feel like you have a good self-awareness of knowing what you don't know and then finding those people and then bringing them on. And that's I think one of the highest compliments you can give an entrepreneur or a CEO, because sometimes, you know, the ego's the enemy sometimes. And sometimes we think we do know everything, but it's like, man, we have to know what we don't know and then get those people on board, but get them to buy into the vision and the culture and the same, you know, moral compass. And then that's when success.
Yeah, I lean into my strengths, and I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can do that now, where I don't have to try to do everything. In the beginning, you do have to do everything.
You're wearing like 12 hats back
then.
Yeah,
and listen, I was a master of none, but I was a really strong jack of all trades, and that was enough to get me to the next level, to hire the great people. But to your point, I lean in on creative and brand, and a lot of the moves I make rely a lot on gut instinct still, and making moves on the fly very fast, because you just can't sit around on data all day. You have to make really quick, educated decisions that could have very costly implications sometimes. Like when we spend, you know, we'll sit down in a room and buy inventory, and it could be a $20 million bet, a $40 million bet, a $50 million bet. And this is like an hour conversation.
This is why you're so loose at the poker table.
But you'd be amazed at how these conversations go.
Yeah.
Because it's just myself, Ben, Sawako, Gosha, our demand planner, and our product head. It's just the four of us making these incredible decisions on the fly. But we do it with a lot of expertise. We're all coming from the right place. We're all trying to get to the truth. There's no egos involved. And we just want to perfect it in a very imperfect situation where, buying inventory is very difficult. It sinks companies. It's one of the biggest reasons companies go under. So you have to be really, really smart. But like in an hour, we can make a $50 million decision and we leave that meeting and completely forget about it the next second.
But you guys also are like, you're so in the grassroots. Like, look how you describe your products. I mean, you got your hand in everything. So I think making those decisions is possible, right? If you're kind of clocked out or you have somebody who handling those type of things, like I feel like you guys have kept a grassroots feel to it where you're still kind of boots on the ground, where you're seeing what works, what doesn't work, what you actually like. I mean, something that you started for your own need.
Right.
So I feel like that gives you a lot of edge on things.
Yes and no. I mean, for the t-shirt stuff, it's obvious, and we overbuy for that because we'll never run out of that. But like a lot of these decisions are very nuanced. Like we have women's and kids coming out. We've never sold women's and kids. Oh, wow. So how can I even start to grasp what that looks like on an inventory side?
Yeah.
Well, our head of product, Sawako, is just that amazing. And our demand planner is just that amazing. And Ben and I are really the voices in the room that try to like center it and bring it back down to what we think. But it's a balance between expertise and our gut instinct as the executives to be like, this feels right or this doesn't feel right. Like we're those guys in the room. And I know they look at us like, well, they're not the apparel guys, so maybe they don't totally get it, but they have enough respect for us to where they trust our judgment. And the team really relies on our judgment in a lot of these big, expensive situations. And, like, how do we pick a number out of the air for women and kids? Like, what do? We have no data to support this buy, essentially. So we have to just, guess on some level. Wow. But it's very nuanced in that. We say, okay, well, we're going to start the line small. We're going to buy small. But what we're going to do to hedge against this bet is we're going to have a fast replenishment cycle, right? So we're not taking such a crazy bet where we're just like, we got like tens of millions of dollars just sitting on the books.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want.
That's scary.
You want to sell through.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is you don't want to underdo it either and have all this demand sitting on the table and not being able to sell it. That is the worst feeling in the world, by the way.
Yeah.
I would much rather feel the pain of buying too much inventory, because I've been on that side of it, versus being on the demand side where you don't have enough inventory to support the demand. Yeah. Oh, that is the worst feeling in the world, when you sell out of something that would be making you cash, and then you quantify how much cash that would equal on a day-to-day basis, and you look at it across the year and you're just like, it's really tough. It's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem.
I guess we deal with this in a smaller aspect when we do like fighter shirts for certain fights and stuff. Yeah. And like you overprint or you underprint. You're like, oh man, we could have sold maybe 100 more.
A lot more. You're leaving a lot on the table.
So, I mean, very smaller scale compared to what you're doing, but I understand what you're saying.
The same thing. Yeah. It's that feeling of just like, oh, I wish I would have gambled a little more on that and believed in myself. Because the truth is that you can figure out a way out of overbuying. Mm-hmm. You can't do it the other way. You can't just produce things out of thin air. That you can't do. But you can, like if you overbuy, you can go back to the manufacturers, you can work out deals, you can say, hey, listen, we overbought. And trust me, these manufacturers are used to it. Yeah. They deal with this all the time with the big boxes, right? And so they work with those guys and they say, okay, you bought too much. We'll charge you a little bit of interest. We'll put you on a payment schedule, whatever it is. Like they'll figure it out with you if they're good partners. And we've had to do a lot of those situations with a lot of partners where we overbought and we're like, look, if you help us out here, and I'm not saying eat the inventory, like we'll sell through it, but just give us more time on the payment terms. If you extend the terms 3 to 6 more months, we will stick with you and commit to X amount of inventory next year.
Wow.
Who's not going to say yes to that?
Yeah.
Because they see what we're doing and they're like, well, there's so much upside in me saying yes here. And what do they care to float another 3 months?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
You're doubling down with them anyways.
Exactly. And they want to build that rapport with us. So that's what I would say to anybody who's like in that situation is you have to go back and negotiate. That's one thing we do better than most, I would say, is yes, it's so critical. And I don't just mean manufacturing, I mean on everything. If you have a SaaS product that you're investing in where it's like a yearly contract or whatever it is, when you do enough of those at scale, boy, does it add up. And you are just burning cash. So you have to find a way to mitigate. And the one thing that we do really well is we sell the story of working with True Classic. And we say, look, guys, let us use this product for, 10% of the cost, but I'm going to give you so much upside. When I go on a podcast, I'm going to talk about you and how great the product is, because it is great. Like they deserve the recognition if it's great. So we do a lot of that with our vendors, and we're like, look, we will put you out there to the world, give you more notoriety, and they bank on that. Wow. And they love it. We've done that with so many partners, and we've helped grow their businesses.
The big picture. You're not just showing like just the direct A to B relationship.
Yeah, because it's not about the money. It's not about the transaction.
Yeah.
It's about what we can do for you. That's our version of intentionality with partners, right? So saying, work with us on the price. I know it's 20 grand a month for your product. Let us pay 2 grand a month, but we will continue to be a case study for you. You can come here to the office and Ben will sit and talk about how great the product is and film it, and we'll put it out to the world, because when we only do that with vendors we really love and approve and do good work, of course. We're not just selling the world nothing.
Yeah.
But
it's authentic.
It's very authentic. And look, when they do those deals, they deserve the recognition for it. That's the trade-off. But that saves you have no idea how much money that saves over a year. That quantifies to millions of dollars of cost, straight to the bottom line, by the way. That's just money that we get to keep in the business.
Yeah.
So
and put to other things.
Absolutely. Millions, multiple millions.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Where do you see this next 3 to 5 years? Like, what are some of the goals you have for True Classic?
I want to get this women's line really cooking.
Nice.
I want to get the kids line really. The kids line is just a smaller version of men. It's very easy. That was like the biggest no-brainer.
I can't wait to get some for my nephew.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's going to be really exciting to see. And my boys are obviously really excited. And my girl is also excited about the girls line. So boys, girls, women's, I want to get that really cooking. I want to figure out the same way we showed up for men. I want to figure out what that looks like for women.
Wow.
And that is nuanced. I mean, it's hard, dude. I thought, I underestimated the women's line. I underestimated what it would take to create something great for them. And I think originally the reason it failed, we never released it. Like, it's been 3 years in the making. We've tried to release it multiple times, but the reason, and we didn't release it because we would send it out to the ambassadors and they just would be like, this is not it. I hate this. Wow. And so we're like, back to the drawing board, kill it, start from zero. And so what I've realized through this process is that instead of trying to force women's through the lens of what has worked for guys, like basically we were trying to create the perfect shirt for women, which is like the obvious place to go, right?
Yeah.
Ironically, the more I talk to women, they don't wear a lot of t-shirts. They wear a lot of tank tops. They wear a lot of leggings. They wear a lot of activewear. They wear a lot of things other than t-shirts. So I had to get out of my own head and go,
to a different space.
The market is telling me something different than what I think, guys. So we had to just go back to like, what do they actually want and wear, and how do we show up for them in a way that feels comfortable, the price is right, the quality's good, and the fit is great. And so I think we're in a really good place now. We're launching it in September.
Awesome.
We'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited. But listen, I'm gonna learn as I go. Just like anything, we probably won't like crush it on the first iteration of it. We will pivot though if we have to, and make things better. We will listen to the women and what they want, and we will try to appease them. Not always the easiest clientele to appease, I've realized. Big shocker.
Yes.
But I'm gonna work my ass off to make it great for them. I'm not gonna settle for, we did women's, we checked the box, good job, high five.
You're gonna do it right.
Dude, and it has to be that way. If it's True Classic, it has to be intentional.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes against all the values we hold true.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Awesome. Man, Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on today. I always finish with 3 questions. What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I would tell my, ironically, I just put this video out the other day. This is such a crazy story, but when we used to go to Bahamas every year for Christmas, and my brother and I would go spend our money at Care Aloha. I told you about that store. And one time I showed up there and I was so pissed off because they didn't have black. I waited all year for this.
Yeah.
They didn't have black crew neck and medium. That was my shirt.
Yeah.
And I told my brother, someday I'm going to start a t-shirt company so that I can have the style I want and I can wear it every single day and never run
That's
out.
so wild.
I was 19 years old when I told him that. And he texted my mom this story about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I read it and it just hit me. And I was like, that is weird
Yeah.
that I, put that out there in the
put that
world
out
and
there, yeah.
manifested it, right? But what I would tell myself at 18 is that just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to make a career out of it. I grew up in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be, Dr. Dre producing for all these great acts and being this amazing producer. And
Yeah.
I had this gift of being able to play instruments very well, very quick.
Wow.
Yeah, piano, guitar, drums. I could just get on it, learn it, and it was just like second nature. And everyone told me, this is your calling. This is what you have to do. And so I beat my head over trying to make it as a musician / producer for about a decade before I gave up. And what I realized was that you don't have to make a living off of the thing you're great at. You can just do it in your off time and have that fulfillment deep down.
Wow.
It can just be something that you have that is fun for you to do. And now I just do it with, my kids, and I get to play them songs and they love it. And I teach them how to play songs and it's super fulfilling. But I'm kind of glad I didn't have that life in hindsight, because I see my friends that are in the music industry and they are not
right.
having a good life.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. But if I could go back, I wish I would have just saved that 10 years and put it towards something else. But look, in hindsight, that creative muscle that I developed through music plays massive dividends in business.
And today, yeah.
Yeah, because I just think way outside the box on creative, in even negotiations. Creativity plays such a pivotal role in business.
It does.
And people don't see that. And there's a lot of arguments we'll be having sometimes with a bunch of smart people, and I'll just wait the whole meeting and say nothing, and I'll let them all argue. And at the very end, I'll chime in with a solution, and they'll all just look and be like, wow, I think that'll work actually. And they're like, where did that come from? And I'm just like, because I am so outside of
the box.
And they're all in the box, and they're arguing in the box, and they're battling. And so if I could wish anything upon anybody, it would be to just harvest that creativity. I know that was a really long-winded answer.
No, it's good. I always go back to Todd Marinovich. Like, he was the quarterback. The dad kind of like never gave him, he had a strict diet. From the time he was like 4 on, it was insane. Mm-hmm. But he ended up quitting football. And he said, hey, it was my gift. It was my gift to waste. It's not what I wanted to do the rest of my life. Like, he ended up loving art and skateboarding and different things. And like, that's how I kind of always looked at it now. It's like, man, just because you have a gift, it's your choice whether how you want to use it or how it's to be used or cultivated. Like, it doesn't mean you have to make it your life or your living, So it's great that you said that.
That's hard to tell young people too. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Telling a young person not to do music or whatever.
It's usually their identity. It's usually where they draw their confidence from. And so you just have to focus on what makes you happy though.
Yeah.
So, second question is, if one quote on a billboard, what do you put up? So whatever major freeway you're at in Cali, 10 freeway.
The one quote I always go back to is that life defines you by 2 things, which is your patience when you have nothing and your attitude when you have everything.
Love it.
And it goes back to, like how I act nowadays and how I try to treat people and how I try to show up. And attitude is so critically important to how you move in the world.
Yeah.
Because people just don't realize how everything is connected. And that sounds so cliche to say, but
it's the truth.
When like an employee exits very poorly, it always comes back, but they don't see it because they just don't have the foresight to see the long term.
Yeah.
But every employee that's ever, made a bunch of claims and tried to sue us or whatever it is, eventually, it might not happen that day, it might not even happen in a year, but 2 or 3 years down the road, someone will try to hire that person. They'll come back and talk to me because they want to know what happened. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So it's like a version of karma, but it's also just like, you have to learn to just exit things gracefully. And I have so much respect for people who do it the right way. And by the way, if you exit True Classic and you do it gracefully, guess who's going to go to bat for you? And guess who's going to go find you another job? this guy,
This guy.
because I respect it so much. Because I know in the moment you're pissed and you probably hate me and you probably are like, fuck this guy. He took this away from me.
Yeah.
But what you don't see is that I'm actually setting you up for your next piece of greatness that you're on to after True Classic.
Love it.
So
Love it. Well, now that I know that you're into music, my last question always is one song for the rest of your life. What are you going
oh
with?
my gosh. One song?
Yeah, I always get good answers on this one. I love it.
I mean, I could look at it two different ways. I could say like songs I love to listen to or songs that I would live by. I love Today Was a Good Day by Ice Cube because it's just like this gratefulness that you live through. And I wake up so grateful and I have so much humility. And I'm just like, God, I get another day at this.
Yeah.
I get another day to impact some people. And then hopefully I get another day after that to do it again.
Yeah.
So every day I just wake up super, super grateful. And I do feel that song playing in the back of my head a lot of times.
I love it.
And it's the simple things, man.
Yeah.
It's the simple things in life that get you through it. And it's not the money. The money's so fleeting. It's just like once you get it, you realize looking back how much time you wasted wanting it.
Yeah.
And then you get it and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, I could have been focused on this or that or developing my character or whatever it was, being a better person. It's like once you check that box, you just start to look at the world very differently. And that's when you become like the prophet, right?
Yeah.
You become like, well, here's what it's really about. Easy to say that when you don't have the money. Because when you don't have the money, you're like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I want the money.
Easy to say now.
Yeah.
But like you immediately reflect on your family and what matters, which is your health, the family, the end. That's it, dude.
Yeah.
That's what you're left with at the end. So you can't take the money with you.
I love it. It's a good song choice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really learned a lot today. I really appreciate you. Guys, catch us on YouTube or Spotify. Thanks for joining us. And tune in again soon. Dude,
That was fun.
You are awesome. You are awesome.
Dude, it's so easy to talk about that stuff. It's just because I just live it like every day.
I just feel like your ability to execute is always what's curiosity.